Welcome back to Fanshawe College. Welcome back to the lab. Before we start our labs, let's go over the lab rules, get familiar with the lab equipment, review the use of the oscilloscope, and then learn to use a new device, current clamp meter. Let's move on with the lab rules. The lab rules are: 1. Wear safety glasses. 2. No food and drink. 3. Print out lab instruction from Fanshawe Online. 4. Complete the preparation portion in the lab instruction. 5. Pay good attention during the lab. 6. Follow the instructions step by step. 7. Tidy up the station after the lab. Let's review the lab equipment. This is the standard lab set in our lab. From bottom up, we have a DC power supply which provides DC voltages, an oscilloscope which will measure waveforms, and a signal generator which generates different signals. We used the DC power supply last semester. Let's do a quick review of it. The DC power supply has 3 output channels. 1. Fixed 5 volts. 2. Adjustable 0 to 30 volts. 3. Adjustable 0 to 30 volts. For the 2 adjustable channels, there are 3 control knobs. 1. Voltage coarse tuning. 2. Voltage fine tuning. 3. Current limiting. Above each adjustable channel, there are 2 meter displays. 1. Output voltage. 2. Output current. Now let's review the use of oscilloscope. The oscilloscope measures voltage versus time waveforms. On the vertical axis, or y-axis, it shows the voltage. On the horizontal axis, or x-axis, it shows the time. The power button is at the bottom left corner. The oscilloscope has 2 input channels, channel 1 and channel 2. The knobs above adjust the voltage settings. These knobs are for the time settings. The set of knob and button at right are for the trigger settings. Now let's measure the calibration signal. Power up the oscilloscope by pushing the power button. Connect a probe to channel 2. Hook the signal tip of the probe to the calibration signal. Press the autoscale button. Now observe the waveform. Now let's do some measurements. First we measure the voltage on the vertical axis, or y-axis. The voltage equals to the number of divisions times the voltage scale. To measure the magnitude of the signal, we count 4 divisions on y-axis and find the voltage scale is 0.5 volts per division. The magnitude equals 5 divisions times 0.5 volts equals 2.5 volts. Now let's measure the time on the horizontal axis, or x-axis. The time equals to the number of divisions times the time scale. To measure the period of the signal, we count 4 divisions on the x-axis and find the time scale as 0.25 milliseconds. The period equals 4 divisions times 0.25 milliseconds equals 1 millisecond. We can calculate the frequency as 1 over the period equals 1 over 1 millisecond equals 1 kilohertz. Now the trigger function. If the waveform is not stable on the screen, adjust your trigger settings. Push the trigger menu button to show the trigger menu. Use this knob to adjust the trigger level. On the display screen, the little arrow at the left edge shows the trigger level. The trigger level must be within the signal level to make the waveform stable. Now let's learn how to use the current clamp meter. The current clamp meter is a special digital multimeter, DMM. It has a current clamp, which is used to clamp the wire to measure the current in it. The clamp can be opened by push this handle. The dial switch is used to select the functions. When select the current function, we can push this red button to select DC current or AC current. The two probe plugs are used to measure voltage and resistance, same as a regular DMM. Now let's practice measuring a current. First, set the DC power supply in the current limit mode. Turn the current limit down by turning this knob counterclockwise to the end. Use a wire to short the two output terminals of a variable output channel. Use the current clamp meter to clamp the wire. Set the meter for DC current. Power up the power supply. And gradually increase the current by turning the knob slowly. Read the current value from the meter. Here we reviewed the use of oscilloscope and learned how to use the current clamp meter. Now it's your time to put your hands on to practice. Thanks for watching.